Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. In more than 150 cities across the country, thousands of low-wage workers went on strike today, walking off the job in the broadest coordinated acts of civil disobedience in recent memory. From New York City to Little Rock, Arkansas, Philadelphia to Chicago, workers demanded a $15 an hour wage and the right to form a union. In Chicago, over 50 people were arrested, singing "We Will Not Be Moved," after vowing that any arrest would be worth it.
It's worth it because we're showing McDonald's that we're not giving up. We're going to keep growing, we're going to keep fighting until we get what we're demanding, what we're asking for, 15 in the union. This
is the culmination of a movement that's grown, as we've chronicled here on this show. One has created a national conversation about the minimum wage, turned it into an election year issue, and has helped to prompt President Obama and Democrats to come out in favor of a minimum wage hike that will provide workers at least something closer to a livable wage. This wasn't just a strike. This was coordinated action in civil disobedience, blocking intersections, getting arrested nationwide. Arrests reached well over 400. In Boston and Los Angeles, Detroit and Las Vegas, workers said they refused to accept the status quo.
We know another state is possible where people can make a decent wage for an honest day's work. That is not asking the world. That is asking for common decency.
Though McDonald's restaurants were often the site of protests, other fast food chains were not spared, from Wendy's to Taco Bell, Burger King to Jack in the Box.
Well, I've been working for Jack in the Box and fast food corporations in general for about 5 years. I have a 9-year-old child, and I'm looking to support him and all the other fast food workers and families that are struggling trying to survive on $7.25.
Significantly, this movement has emboldened workers who are the most marginal and vulnerable in this economy, and who once again today, by the thousands, risk their jobs and meager livelihoods to face arrest, possible sanction, possibly being fired. In Kansas City, more than 50 workers were arrested on a day when workers were expected to walk out of 60 restaurants in that city alone, just in Kansas City. Or movement now, declared LaToya Caldwell, a Wendy's employee in Flint, Michigan. That's a city that's been decimated by deindustrialization and economic ruin for decades. More than 20 workers were arrested there. In West Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our next guest, a congresswoman, was detained by police. In Tucson, Arizona, organizers say this is just the beginning and described in very specific terms what it means to be a low-wage worker.
I work an entire day of work, and it's enough to pay for one can of formula for my son. A can of formula is $35.99.
I was in Manhattan today when workers at the McDonald's restaurant began their own civil disobedience.
Protesters are now sat down blocking this intersection here. There's a lot of NYPD pushing people back, telling them to disperse. They've got signs on the road that say whatever it takes. McDonald's, we must act. Police now are preparing to arrest the protesters here in the middle of the intersection.